This is how you can increase the firepower of your gel gun with a tighter barrel. I'm trying this out on a Senyu M24 sniper rifle. I'm putting in an Austral 7.3mm ball barrel instead of the 7.5mm it had in. So the theory behind using a tighter barrel is quite simple. You have a barrel, you have air pressure pushing the gel out of the barrel, and there's always a bit of air leaking between the gel and the barrel. So if you have a tighter barrel, you'll have a tighter fit and you have less of your precious air pressure leaking out. However, maybe it's not quite that simple, because a tighter barrel also means you have more friction, of course, which slows the gel down. So it's not 100% sure that a tighter barrel will always lead to a higher firepower, a higher speed of the gel, but we'll see how we go in our case here. The new barrel is 50 centimeters long, half a meter, which is 7 centimeters longer than the original barrel, but I'll put it in. It will stick out a bit because it's too long for the outer barrel, but we'll put it in, we'll test the speed and see how we go. The volume is 21 cc, which is a bit higher than the original volume at 19 cc, but it's still about only a third of the volume of the cylinder. It's good to know the science behind all this. At the top is your gun after cocking, but before you pull the trigger. The cylinder has a certain volume V, and the pressure before shooting is just the ambient pressure. The drawing below shows what happens when you pull the trigger. So the piston moves forward. The gel will not start moving immediately though. The gel will only move after pressure has been built up in the cylinder. Pressure and air volume are indirect proportional here, which means less volume means higher pressure. Or in other words, once you have enough pressure to move the gel, the air volume is already less, maybe half, in which case the cylinder volume needs to be at least twice as high as the volume in your barrel. And if you have a tighter barrel, then you need even more pressure to move the gel, which means an even bigger cylinder. So this drawing here shows what happens when your barrel is too long or too tight for the cylinder. Or in other words, your cylinder is too small for the barrel. The piston is already way forward, but the gel is not out of the barrel yet. It will now slow down until it's out of the barrel. Make this barrel shorter and your firepower will be higher. Below you see the opposite case. The gel is already out of the barrel, but there is still compressed air in the cylinder, which will be wasted. Make this barrel longer and your firepower will be higher. Fitting in the new barrel into the Senyu M24 is fairly simple. There's no major problems. The new Austral barrel fits. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that the Austral barrel is about half a millimeter smaller in outer diameter. So I'm using some Teflon tape or thread tape here as a spacer between the inner barrel, the new Austral barrel, and the outer barrel of the gun, so that it's nice and tight and doesn't move. And here's our speed test, and as you can see, the gun now shoots consistently around the 300 feet per second mark. Before the modification it was between 265 and maybe 275, so I increased the firing power by about 30 FPS just by using a tighter barrel. In this case the barrel is also a bit longer, and we'll do another test now with the barrel cut back to size. So here I've cut the barrel back to the size of the outer barrel, so it doesn't look so funny. It's still about over 2 centimeters longer than the original barrel, but a little bit shorter than the original Austral barrel. So let's see how it goes. It seems that the firing power is roughly the same, which could indicate that our barrel length is already around the optimum, hopefully. And finally here is an accuracy test, see if the gun still shoots straight, shooting at a palm tree, and the result is yes, it still shoots straight and accurately. So overall this modification was a success.